भैरवाय सुकेशाय भीषणायान्त्रमालिने चण्डाय तुण्डमालाय नमो दण्डधराय च आखण्डतत्त्वरूपाय कमण्डलुधराय च नमस्ते चण्डसिंहाय सत्यसिंहाय ते नमः नमस्ते श्वेतसिंहाय पीतसिंहाय ते नमः नीलसिंहाय नीलाय रक्तसिंहाय ते नमः नमो हरिद्रसिंहाय धूम्रसिंहाय ते नमः मूलसिंहाय मूलाय बृहत्सिंहाय ते नमः पातालस्थितसिंहाय नमः पर्वतवासिने नमो जलस्थसिंहाय अन्तरिक्षस्थिताय च कालाग्निरुद्रसिंहाय चण्डसिंहाय ते नमः अनन्तजिह्वसिंहाय अनन्तगतये नमः नमोऽस्तु वीरसिंहाय बहुसिंहस्वरूपिणे नमो विचित्रसिंहाय नारसिंहाय ते नमः अभयङ्करसिंहाय नारसिंहाय ते नमः सप्ताब्धिमेखलागैव सप्तसामस्वरूपिणे सप्तधातुस्वरूपाय सप्तछन्दोमयाय च सप्तलोकान्तरस्थाय सप्तस्वरमयाय च सप्तार्चिरूपदंष्ट्राय सप्ताश्वरथरूपिणे स्वच्छाय स्वच्छरूपाय स्वच्छन्दाय नमो नमः श्रीवत्साय सुवेशाय श्रुतके श्रुतमूर्तये शुचिश्रवाय शूराय.
So we are in a very, very remote village in a jungle in Orissa, and we were told that in this area there's a very ancient deity of Laksmi Nrsimha that hardly anyone ever comes to see because the access to this village is very difficult. Some rough roads, and you have to walk a trail, etc. So when we came here and I saw this deity, I just couldn't believe how magnificently beautiful he is and Lakshmi Devi is. And we inquired from the local people, where did this deity come from? So they said in the year 2012, there's a little kund, not a very big kund, but a little lake, just maybe 100 meters from here. One person has a property on the banks of that lake. He's a fisherman. So he was fishing in the lake, and somehow he lost some of his fishing gear, so he had to dive down into the water to retrieve it. And when he dove down, he touched the bottom of the base of these deities, and it was something very hard, and he could tell it was carved. So he called the other villagers, and they drained the lake a little bit, and then all the villagers together, I can only imagine how heavy this deity is, they took the deity out from under the water and brought him up. And then this was in 2012, and they brought him here to this. It was just a hut before. There was hardly any cement or rock here, mainly a grass hut. And they put him here for all these years. And some villagers would come sometimes and pray to him, etc., etc. No one could steal him because he's so big and so heavy. But just last year, 12 months ago, they started to worship him. They started to worship him. And the fisherman, he raised money through his humble trade, and he built this very small confinement, this cement temple, and he arranges, he comes and he worships, or he has a pundit come and worship. There's just a few of them are trying to worship this deity. With the little money they have, they get fruits, they get flowers, and they come in. And we were in contact with one local archaeologist who said this deity is from the 13th century. 13th century. And most likely what happened is when invaders came into this part of Orissa, this part of India, we know that many invaders would break the deities, break the temples. So what probably happened was that the invaders were coming. So in the 13th century or 14th century, whenever, this deity was taken to that kund and very quickly thrown in. very quickly thrown in. So he landed on his head in the mud because he was, just the base was up here. This is the theory of what happened. So it's just a magnificent, just such a beautiful, very angry deity. And I'm very glad that we discovered him in our tour here in Orissa. And I'm going to adopt this deity. I'd like him to adopt me eventually. But I'm going to adopt this deity. My disciple Vishnu Tattva Das, he's from a very nice Goswami family in Vrindavan, and his father is one of the main priests in the Govindaji temple in Jaipur. So he had heard about this particular deity and this village. So we're going to contact him and ask him to help us in the proper way, establish a nice worship here for this deity, who hasn't really had any real significant worship since the 13th century. And hopefully, I'll also be able to raise some funds and build a temple here. It's actually in the middle of nowhere, but in my heart, it's somewhere very important. It's here in this village, and I can render some service to Nrsimhadev. I heard Prabhupada say one time that we worship Nrsimhadev for the protection of the spiritual master and for the protection of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So in that mood, I'm going to serve Nrsimhadev. Prabhupada, of course, is in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, but his representatives, many of my god brothers and now several of my god sisters, they're initiating spiritual masters. So I'm going to pray for their protection, that they can continue preaching this wonderful movement of Srila Prabhupada and give blessings to the whole world and their followers as well. Let's just pray for everyone, because Prabhupada said, we pray to Nrsimhadev for protection of ISKCON. ISKCON means the people in ISKCON. So I'm going to pray in that mood that this beautiful ancient deity of Nrsimhadev protects our movement, because we're at the forefront of preaching the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the Yuga Dharma of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I have a new service now. I'm so excited. And I'm going to take blessings. Generally we don't we can't come before deities like this here in India, but I'm going to take the liberty to place my head upon his feet and ask him to just rip out of my heart any selfish material desires, so that my love for the Vaishnavas, my love for Srila Prabhupada, my love for the Lord, and my love for all the people of this world, because they're all, Krishna said he's the seed-giving father of every living entity. So everyone's a devotee. Some know and some don't. So we'll also pray that those people can become Krishna conscious. So, Hare Krishna.
Hari Haraye Namo Krishna Jadavayo Namo Jadavayo Madhavayo Kesavayo Namo
Hari Haraye Namo Krishna Jadavayo Namo Jadavayo Madhavayo Kesavayo Namo
Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Srita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Srita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath
এই ছয় গোসাই করি চরণ বন্দন যা হইতে বিঘ্ন নাশ অবিষ্ট পুরাণ
এ ছয় গোসাই করি চরণ বন্দন যাহা হইতে বিঘ্ন নাশ অভীষ্ট পুরাণ
এই ছয় গোসাই যার মই তার দাস তাসবার পদরেণু মোর পঞ্চগ্রাস
এ ছয় গোসাই যার মুই তার দাস তা সবার পদরেণু মোর
তাদেরও চরণ সেবী ভক্ত শনিবাস জনমে জনমে হয় এই অভিলাষ
তাদেরও চরণ সেবী ভক্ত শনিবাস জনমে জনমে হয় এই অভিলাষ
এই ছয় গোসাই যাবে ব্রজে কৈলাবাস রাধা কৃষ্ণ নিত্য লীলা করিলেন প্রকাশ
এসয় গোসাই যাবে ব্রজে কৈলাবাস রাধা কৃষ্ণের নিত্য লীলা করিল প্রকাশ
আনন্দে বল করি ভজ বৃন্দাবন শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পদে মজাইয়া মন
আনন্দে বল হরি ভজ বৃন্দাবন শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পদে মজাইয়া মন
শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পাদ পদ্ম করিয়া হরিনাম সংকীর্তন কহে নরোত্তম দাস
শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পাদ পদ্ম করিয়া নাম সংকীর্তন করে নরোত্তম দাস
শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পাদ পদ্ম করিয়া হরি নাম সংকীর্তন কহে নরোত্তম দাস
শ্রী গুরু বৈষ্ণব পাদ পদ্ম করিয়া
নাম সংকীর্তন কহে নরোত্তম দাস
भैरवाय सुकेशाय भीषणायान्त्रमालिने चण्डाय तुण्डमालाय नमो दण्डधराय च आखण्डतत्त्वरूपाय कमण्डलुधराय च